Hi, everyone. My name is Nyemade Boiwu. I am a social media ambassador with the ACLU Delaware, and I'm also the co-host for the upcoming Kandler Awards. We're so excited to use this opportunity to recognize people in the community that are doing some great things. I have one of the award recipients with me today, Corie Priest. Hi, Corie. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking
Good.
the time to join me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wouldn't miss this chance.
Of course. I do want to tell everybody just a little bit about you.
Yes, my name is Corie Priest. I'm the Community Engagement Program Administrator for the Delaware Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office. I have two beautiful children, 1-year-old Bria and 6-year-old Braden, and beautiful wife Janice. Um, yeah, and this work, working at the Attorney General's office is really, for me, I wouldn't call it a dream come true, but it is because I've never dreamt it, right? But being here has been doing such phenomenal work in our community has been really phenomenal for me, especially a place I never thought I would be there. I never thought I would be in this space here. But I did think, after coming home from incarceration in 2011, that I was going to be a change maker in our community. That's what I put my mind, my body, and my soul. Uh, uh, I put my mind, body, and soul through that, regimen to know that I can do just what I'm doing today, right? How do I impact my community through lived experiences, through connections, through connecting people to services and resources to just meet their basic needs, and been consistently doing it since that time, 2011. Prior to that, I was you know doing little things, but not to this magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so jail has really given me that purpose, right? I didn't know who I was going to become after jail, what I was going to do, but I knew once I was there inside of these facilities that I was something to everybody. And I realized that, I was making people feel a certain way, feel happy, feel, my presence in their lives was something that I never thought it wasn't never in my mind that I can do that.
Yeah.
So that means how do I translate that to being on the outside, being at home? And so I was like, hey, I can be a helper at home. When I come home, I can be a helper. I can get in the social work field, the human service field. And and then how do I make people feel special? How do I make people feel loved? How do I make people, advance beyond what they're at in their lives, right? And so I just had to really figure it out. And, reentry was the thing that did it for me.
And I love that you have really taken your time and experience and put it into giving back. One of the things that really frustrates me with the country as a whole is that we often see people once they're incarcerated as like just these criminals, right? Like we forget that they have humanity. We forget that they're still people. We forget that the whole purpose of imprisoning them is to rehabilitate so they can come out and be like you. And instead we just brush them off like, oh, they've been to jail. So I love that you're helping to change that narrative. And I love that you took your time in there to really find your purpose and, get back out and give back. Did you find that transition hard though? Having people give you even just a semblance of respect now that once they knew that you had been incarcerated?
For me, I didn't find it hard. I just knew I had to take baby steps,
Mm.
right? I knew I just couldn't jump into a meeting with the governor or a meeting with some high-ranking official without really doing the baby steps first, really getting, building my credibility up, right? So, and I also knew coming home, I wasn't going to be working in corporate America because of my criminal history. I was like, all right, who are going to be the ones that going to give me a chance because they understand my story or my experience? And I figured it was going to be a nonprofit, someone who's working with my target population, and that's where all my job seeking passes were when I was in level 4, when I was in work release. So I knew I wasn't going to the banks or, some security firm or none of that stuff. You know what I mean? I knew where I was going, but I had to start somewhere, starting with $10 an hour. And I was okay with that, until I start meeting people and building my social capital, and now and telling my story just a little bit. And now, you can slide in these rooms and you can be at the table. And now you're really, talking about what you believe in, talking about what you want to advocate, who you want to advocate for, and what you want to advocate for, and it kind of like opened up from there, but I didn't find it hard. I think the hardest thing was who was going to be a part of the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always talk about the dream team because, I need the dream team. I need the point guard, the center, the power forward, the small forward, shooting guard on the team. Like I couldn't be everything, or I couldn't have one person being president of the whole team because I would never win, right? And so I just had to really figure out who was going to be the ones that was going to, put me under their wing, who's going to mentor me, who's going to give me the information, who's going to, introduce me to people who I would probably never be introduced to had it not been for that person,
Mm-hmm.
So that it was kind of strategic on how I was moving around.
Well, that makes sense. And you have to be strategic. I think a lot of times people look at successful people and think like, oh, they just got there, or it's just happenstance, or they're just lucky. And one of my favorite quotes is, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And if you don't have that preparation, all the doors can be open for you if you're not ready to walk through them. Or, and even like you said, sometimes you have to build that table yourself, like little by little, before you're able to walk through those doors. So I love that you took the time to do that. And it's landed you in such a great position, working for the Department of Justice to do so much for the community. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do in your current role?
So yeah, the primary purpose really is to build trust between law enforcement and communities, which is a daunting task in our world today. But I'm up for it, and and so we do that through a couple different initiatives. Like I said, we meet the communities. We try to give the communities resources and services to meet basic needs. Most people commit crime because basic needs aren't being met. So how do we meet the basic needs of community? How do we provide food? How do we get them benefits? How do we, mental health and substance use our resources? And so, we'll walk the community and we'll listen to the community and do more listening and then respond with an answer. And so there's points in time we walk the East Side community, 10th and Bennett, 10th and Pine, 9th and Pine, Spruce, and they say, hey, nothing for the kids to do in this neighborhood. So what we started doing is doing a huge youth resource fair at one of their biggest parks over East Side, Kirkwood Park. We bring massive amounts of resources, about 50 resources and service providers for the youth. Everything's free. Just leave your wallet at home event, and come meet people that can get your kid into some services, to after school programs, to the YMCA, the PAL, Teen Warehouse, and others. And so community resource fairs, back to school resource fairs, and we bring our prosecutors and our staff out of the office and into our neighborhoods, which is a phenomenal thing, right? So many times the folks who work in our office are just going to the office, going to court, back to the office and home. And how do we get, the folks who are who are working in our court systems and in our criminal justice systems out in our community a lot more. So we do that. Our unit is responsible for responding to pardons and expungements. So a lot of people call me or ask me for my advice on pardons and expungement stuff. Through COVID, we went down to Sussex County and helped provide food resources for some of our most vulnerable populations. The Hispanic population and the Haitian population, who generally have a distrust between them and our government, and how do I get in between that, right? So let's partner with the Food Bank of Delaware and figure out how we can get those folks food without giving those, ID or proof of residency, where it's a barrier for most of those folks down there. So, you know, we always think about innovative ideas and approaches that we can do as an office or that we can do as a unit to address the needs of the community.
That's awesome. I love hearing about all the things that you're doing. It's very exciting, and I'm so excited also that you are going to be awarded at the Kandler Awards Celebration. It's great to, like I said, just honor people doing wonderful things like you are, sharing their stories. If you're watching this and you don't know a lot about the Kandler Awards, go back and check the last video. Mike Brickner, who's the executive director of the ACLU, and I are co-hosting, and we did a video all about the awards ceremony and the people being nominated and everything. So please check that out. Corie, thank you again so much for joining me. For those who also may not know, the Kandler Awards are going to be October 19th at 6 p.m. And tickets are still available. We'll include the link in the description below. Thank you again so much, Corie.
Thank you so much. Please come support, come see me. Please show me some love. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.